Hello, I'm Tanya Sharp. Welcome to this presentation of our series on Individual Education Program, IEP, Consideration of Special Factors, ensuring all pieces of the puzzle connect. In this presentation, we will discuss the Assistive Technology, or AT, Devices and Services Special Factor the Admissions and Release Committee, or ARC, is required to consider, which is, are assistive technology devices and services necessary in order to implement the child's IEP? This question applies to students with any category of disability who need assistive technology. The ARC must consider if the student requires any assistive technology, whether low-tech or high-tech. The ARC must determine the type or types of devices and, if applicable, the amount of services needed. The ARC documents the needed assistive technology in the IEP and indicates the type in the Statement of Devices and Services. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, Part B Federal Registrar from 2006 emphasizes that Section 300.105, subsection A, requires each public agency to ensure that assistive technology devices or assistive technology services, or both, are made available to a child with a disability if required as part of the child's special education, related services, or supplementary aids and services. This provision ties the definition to a child's educational needs, which public agencies must meet in order to ensure that a child with a disability receives a free, appropriate public education, or FAPE. They go on to state to be considered an assistive technology device for a child depends on whether the device is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of a child with a disability, and whether the child's individualized education program, IEP team, determines that the child needs the device in order to receive FAPE. From this regulation, when we develop an IEP, the ARC must answer, are assistive technology devices and services necessary in order to implement the child's IEP? If the present levels of academic achievement and functional performance, or present levels, indicate assistive technology needs or adverse impact, then this should be marked yes. If yes, they must include the appropriate devices in the Statement of Devices and Services below. If there are items listed in the Statement of Devices and Services, that information should be consistent with the present levels and all other areas of the IEP. If the ARC marks yes to assistive technology devices and services, then the ARC must address the need for a particular device or service section of the special factors as well. For more information, see video 8 on the need for a particular device or service. According to the IDEA, an assistive technology device means any item, piece of equipment, or product system, whether acquired commercially, off the shelf, modified, or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of a child with a disability. The term does not include a medical device that is surgically implanted or the replacement of such device. AT does not include only high-tech devices, but also includes things like pencil grips, calculators, raised paper, modified scissors, audiobooks, even squishy balls and fidgets, and many more items. It would not be practice or possible to include an exhaustive list of assistive technology devices as examples or within regulations. For an example of making sure all pieces are connected, if a student is using a token system as a behavior strategy or as part of a behavior intervention plan, then AT and behavior should be marked yes in the special factors section and the token system documented. Additional guidance is available in the Myths and Facts Surrounding Assistive Technology Devices and Services document located on the Assistive Technology page of the KDE website, and a link is provided in the resources. Here are a few of the guiding questions from the Guidance for IEP Development document that maybe help guide the ARC when making special considerations to determine the student's assistive technology needs. These guiding questions may help with not just needs, but present levels, baseline data, modifications, and strategies that may be needed. What can the student do now with and without assistive technology? In what areas does the student require assistive technology? Will the student, staff, or both need training to facilitate the student's use of the assistive technology? If the ARC has determined assistive technology is a need and has documented the strategies and supports needed, the ARC would then need to ensure the needs, strategies, and supports are connected throughout the IEP. Let's discuss some of the ways ARCs should ensure the IEP is comprehensive, consistent, and compliant. Assistive technology needs should be integrated and documented throughout the IEP as part of planning for the student. In order to make those connections throughout the IEP, the ARC will need to ensure they have considered how the student's learning is affected with and without the device or service and should be noted in the present levels. Does the student need AT to access the general curriculum or to participate in non-academic and extracurricular activities, or to benefit from educational, printed materials, or to access auditory information? Do they need AT for written communication, computer access, or for augmentative or alternative communication devices? Do they need technology to participate in classroom, state, and district-wide testing, or to participate in work-based learning experiences? For example, assistive technology should be marked yes in the special factors section if an online reader or calculator are chosen as an accommodation needed. The accommodations section should be consistent and include calculator, use of technology, which could be specified in the other under accommodations. How can assistive technology be integrated into the student's program across such settings as school, home, community, and work sites? As mentioned earlier, if AT is being used for communication, the AT should be consistently used and documented within the present levels and special factors for communication. If the student has behavior needs or a BIP, is the student's use and need of AT being addressed? And just a reminder, as the ARC considers the needs and input of the parents and family in relation to assistive technology, the parents or family may need supports, which may be included as a related service under IDEA to help families support implementation of the IEP. These are just some of the ways ARCs should ensure the IEP is comprehensive, consistent, and compliant. Let's look at an example of how those pieces connect. Here's an example of some of the connections. If the ARC documents in the present levels that AT is a need for the student, the ARC should ensure the supporting evidence is provided in the present levels. The AT special factors sections should be marked yes to be consistent. If the AT is being used as a mode of communication, the communication section of the special factors should be marked yes and documented as well as having the documented requirements in the communication status and functional hearing, listening, and communication assessment sections of the present levels. Now, let's look at a few pieces of the IEP that the ARC would make connections to. This is not a complete list of all the connections that will need to be made, but only a few examples. The present level should include current data regarding the student's current level of proficiency in the use of any AT, such as an augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC device, or a behavioral token system. As stated earlier in the training, to establish the student's baseline performance, document the student's strengths and most recent evaluation or assessment data, including progress monitoring data from interventions or the current IEP to help develop the present levels. If the ARC has determined the student needs AT, such as the AAC device or behavior token system. The ARC may need to include program modifications and support, such as staff working with the student need to be trained on the use of the AAC device, the Student Behavior Intervention Program, and Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, also known as PBIS. AT needs should be addressed throughout the IEP and may be reflected in individualized goals. Using our earlier example of the student with a behavior intervention plan who uses AT in the form of an AAC device and in using a behavior token system, the ARC may determine a need for an annual goal related to self-regulations, like deep breathing or counting to 10 to manage frustration to avoid outbursts, appropriate behaviors with social interaction during unstructured times, such as initiating or responding to peer interactions using appropriate social skills, or using their AAC device to communicate wants and needs to teachers and peers, such as requesting a break or when they are feeling frustrated or confused. These goals would be designed to support the students' needs related to assistive technology and behavioral skills, helping them to succeed both academically and in their daily life. Again, these are just a few examples of how those connections will be made to ensure the IEP is compliant, comprehensive, and consistent throughout. The present levels are the baseline to the student's strengths and needs. They are the beginning foundations for the ARC to build the IEP. As the ARC builds that IEP, the information and data provided in the present levels are going to connect and help the ARC to develop an appropriate IEP that includes all the pieces that connect in order for there to be progress documented and seen through the data. This puzzle piece graphic on the screen is an outline of a child's head with puzzle pieces in it. It does not depict every detailed piece of the IEP, but it is meant for you to visualize how all the pieces of the IEP will make up an individualized and appropriate program for students. The IEP should be compliant, comprehensive, and consistent throughout, which includes the special factors. Remember, if the ARC marks any of the special factors yes, such as assistive technology, it should be addressed throughout the entire IEP. If assistive technology is marked no in special factors, then before the ARC documents a token system as a behavior strategy or as part of the behavior intervention plan, or documents in the present levels the student has attention or stimming issues and requires the use of fidgets or a band under the desk. Think about how that is inconsistent if being monitored. The need for those items indicate the student will be using AT devices, even if they may be low tech, to ensure the student is able to access their general curriculum. In order to ensure our puzzle pieces all fit together, we need to think through all the services and items the student will need to have access to in order to be successful within their school-wide environment. Using all pieces of data and information, a complete, compliant, and comprehensive IEP appropriate for the student can be developed by the ARC annually. Here are a few additional resources that may assist in learning more about the processes and requirements related to the consideration of special factors, specifically assistive technology devices and services in IEP development. Thank you for watching the IEP Consideration of Special Factors, Assistive Technology Devices and Services. The other parts in the series clarify how each section of the special factors in the IEP connect together to create a comprehensive, consistent, compliant, and effective program ensuring student growth. Specifically, we will look at regulatory requirements for each factor along with guiding questions for the ARC and considering each factor, and how to ensure if the ARC marks any of the special factors yes, then those factors should be addressed throughout the entire IEP. If you have any questions regarding the series, please contact staff at the Division of IDEA Monitoring and Results at 502 564 4970.